With its illustrious tennis history, Sweden is a natural destination for the ATP Champions Tour, and Stockholm provides the perfect location for the second stop of the season. The Kings of Tennis by Index International, all played out at a special venue the players love.
More than anything, it's the crowd that makes it. You know, if we get excited, we enjoy it. The atmosphere in here is incredibly intimate, and it sort of makes for big tennis. Everybody being so close is I think they really enjoy that.
I think they get a lot to say, like what the speed is like, and I think the crowd enjoys it, and that's a feeling I had a few years back. And I think that hasn't changed.
It's such a nice arena to have this kind of event, and it has been so well received, you know, from the public, and everybody wants to come and watch these great champions.
It's something special and unique. I feel good. You know, you feel like you're very close to the crowd, so you can make more jokes, you can enjoy it, and it's great to be here.
Staged at the impressive Stockholm Waterfront Congress Centre, the event is now in its 5th year and is built on that unique atmosphere, introducing a spectacular light show.
And it's special. I mean, we're not really used to having blinking lights and all that when we've played.
It looks great. Every year we're trying to bring something, you know, new, that something happens for the crowd that comes here, for the players and for the TV, for everything. It's just, we think it's important to invest in those things.
The entrance is just perfect, unbelievable. I love it because it's something unique, and that's why, you know, in tennis we need to find some new, new projects, a new style, like to get on the court, something like completely different with the music, and what they've been doing here is just perfect. I love it.
The tournament provides a complete tennis experience. As well as the sellout matches, there are pro-ams and coaching clinics, including this year a special guest speaker, Judy Murray.
For us, it's important, you know, to give back a little bit to the tennis. Get a speaker like Judy was fantastic.
I love my sport, so yeah, the opportunity for me to come and speak in other countries, I love that, just simply because I like to share my philosophy of how I work, and I'm a huge believer in developing variety and skills at a young age so that players have options further down the line.
Those whose coaching had clearly worked were the legends who had gathered to play this year. Once again, there was a mouth-watering field in Stockholm, headlined by a box office draw from America.
They've got some fantastic names. I mean, obviously John McEnroe heads the field.
A lot of history here. I came here in 1978, so that was the first time I ever played Bjorn. And so there's been a tremendous history for tennis here, and I can't believe I'm still coming back 2016.
He has a history, especially with Sweden. I think people in Sweden, you know, with his matches with Bjorn, people remember that, and so we're very happy, you know, to have him.
Well, John is always guaranteed for something. He's always up for something, and still keen to win, and still does his thing, and gets prepared and gets into it. But I think it's a good mixture of players.
A special group of champions at a special tournament. The stage was all set for this year's Kings of Tennis. So to the action in Stockholm, and the first of this year's semi-finals saw a classic rivalry revisited as John McEnroe and Mats Wilander met with a real mix of playing styles, attack against defence. McEnroe got off to the perfect start, breaking his opponent at the first time of asking. However, the Swede was determined to keep his fellow former world #1 on his toes. Finding some signature passes to the delight of the Stockholm crowd. But despite Wilander's best efforts, McEnroe remained on top. At 57, the American remains a formidable player, with his touch looking as sharp as ever. A second break and a dominant lead soon followed.
Game, McEnroe.
Never one to give in, 51-year-old Wilander fought back, finally taking his first game. 7-time Grand Slam champion McEnroe always had an extra gear though, forever a master at the net. The first set was soon sealed, albeit with a little help from the net cord.
Game and first set, McEnroe. 6-2.
Into the second set, and McEnroe maintained his momentum, once again breaking early on.
McEnroe. First game, second set.
Wilander was never going to lie down though, still capable of moments of magic.
Wilander.
However, the pressure was building, and facing another break point, Wilander found a double fault when he least needed it.
Game, McEnroe. McEnroe leads 3-2.
McEnroe continued to attack, if anything getting stronger as the match went on. The surface and conditions were clearly suiting McEnroe, finishing points with ruthless precision.
15-14.
The US legend creating and taking another break.
Game, McEnroe.
A complete performance from McEnroe meant it wasn't long before he had match point.
Game, set a match. McEnroe, 2 sets to love, 6-2, 6-2.
John McEnroe rolling back the years. Just too good on the day for Mats Wilander. The American through to the final in Stockholm.
John McEnroe.
They're two bona fide tennis legends. But just how much did Pat Cash and Henri Leconte agree on when it came to our quickfire quiz?
Go back home to France.
Okay.
And now it sounds like Oh.
No.
Oh, sorry, I got the wrong one.
No.
I'll take. I don't his serve
No.
for sure. No, come on, left-handed serve.
Okay.
All the time.
Okay.
Anytime.
Can I put
No.
both? Both.
Come on.
I give it to you.
No.
I love yours, mate.
No.
No. Good
Come on, you got the
serve.
left-handed serve. There's no way. Definitely yours.
Thank you.
He's being very modest.
Oh, he's quicker.
That was about the only thing
Yes.
I had. I was
No,
fast.
he's fast, very fast. Big legs, down.
You been looking at my legs?
No.
I think me by
I think
one.
it's By one. Yeah, you by
One or
one.
two, maybe one
It
or
was
two.
4.
You were 4?
No, I was 5. You were 4.
Oh, yeah.
You see? No, Pat.
No, Henri. I think you did.
9-7. Henri won 9-7.
9, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, Pat, Wimbledon.
Wow.
Of course, yes. You were
You're-
the one who just jumped and then went over. You were the first one to do it and the last one.
That's famous, but your Davis Cup victory was pretty good.
Yeah,
That was pretty good.
Yeah, but well, not bad, but you're Wimbledon the
Mine's
best.
probably most famous.
The
anyway.
best. You're is the king.
Funny in the head, funny ha-ha, funny crazy.
Okay, I take
Both.
it.
You better-
I take it.
Definitely the funny crazy, big funny crazy.
The crazy one, it's okay. Sorry.
charming.
French lover, of course.
Yeah,
oui.
very charming. You're the best dresser. Look at me. He's
Me, I'm
smart
playing
dresser.
tennis.
He's a smart dresser.
Yes, but
So,
this...
that's, I don't know. Vain's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. I
Not
think
a bad
it's...
thing. He looks after himself there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, but he's old, so it's more like, you know, Crocodile Dundee, so it's maybe in Australia it's, you know.
Head of state. No, but they're politicians. I
Politician,
wouldn't for the life of me want to do that.
No.
But I think we're...
No, we stay like that. Let's finish. Oh, come on. Okay?
Still to come on the ATP Champions Tour, a trip with Thomas. We have a special tour around Stockholm with Thomas Enquist. And we've the best of the action from the conclusion of the Kings of Tennis. Back to the action in Stockholm, and the second of the semi-finals saw an intriguing clash with the net play of Pat Cash against the ground strokes of Thomas Muster. It was a quick start for the Aussie, catching Muster off guard with his attacking play, breaking in the second game. The former French Open champion fought hard though, switching up his play to stay in the set. As expected, Cash continued to attack, the former Wimbledon winner proving a tough obstacle at the net. There was more dominance at the front of the court from the Australian, his signature volleys too sharp for Muster. It wasn't long before Cash was serving for the set. Muster was known for his fighting spirit back on the main tour, and there was no chance he was going to give up on this one. The Austrian was now full of energy, chasing down everything. A break soon followed. Muster was back in the match. Both men had raised their levels as more winners followed. Cash with the kind of forehand Roger Federer would be proud of. Former world number 4 happy to celebrate with the crowd. For all the skill of those winners, Cash undid his own hard work. A double fault facing break point, handing his opponent a crucial advantage. Muster seized his chance, levelling the match. This one will be decided by a champion's tiebreak. Muster surged into an 8-3 lead, the Austrian sensing a chance for victory. Soon enough, He had match point. Thomas Muster overcoming Pat Cash in an ATP Champions Tour Classic. The Austrian through to face John McEnroe in a final full of expectation.
Thomas Muster.
Stockholm, Sweden, the country's capital and setting for the kings of tennis on the ATP Champions Tour. Whilst in town this year, we asked a homegrown hero to show us the city he loves.
Hi, my name is Thomas Enquist, and we are here in the most beautiful city in the world, Stockholm. I would like to show you around a little bit of the Stockholm I know. The first stop is this, our royal club, Kungliga Tennishallen. It was one of our old kings, Gustav V, who kind of brought the tennis to Sweden. And he opened this hall, I think it was 1943, and we have so much tradition in this hall. Here is where Borg and the guys won their first Davis Cup for Sweden in '76. And we have played many Davis Cup matches, Stockholm Open, one of my favorite places in Stockholm. So now we are here, one of my favorite spots in Stockholm, outside the Royal Theatre. Here is where Ingmar Bergman did a lot of plays. He was the boss of this theatre, I think, during the 60s. And if you turn around over here, you have a little harbor with a lot of boats who takes you out to all of those thousands of small islands we have just outside Stockholm. It's a beautiful place. And of course, lastly, because we are at the Kings of Tennis in Stockholm this week, of course I have to show you where the Swedish king lives, the Swedish castle. Thank you so much for joining me on this little ride around Stockholm, and hope to see you soon again.
So to the final of this year's Kings of Tennis by Index International, a meeting of two former world number ones, John McEnroe against Thomas Muster. 9 years the older man, McEnroe was the quickest out of the blocks, breaking Muster in the second game to take an early lead.
Game from McEnroe.
Looking sharp at the net, there was no doubt the American had found his groove. '95 French Open champion Muster had a challenge on his hands. The Austrian began to find his range with his ground strokes as he fought to gain a foothold in the match.
40-50.
Muster was being made to work for every point, having to find something special with his serve under constant pressure. An epic fourth game saw McEnroe constantly attack the Muster serve, while the Austrian continued to dig himself out of trouble. With 7 Grand Slam singles titles to his name, McEnroe knows a thing or two about performing in a final. At times he was playing tennis he would have been happy with in his heyday. Always graced with sublime feel, the New Yorker was a man inspired. In the face of such quality from McEnroe, Muster had to raise his game. The Austrian did just that with a lob from the very top draw.
Game with Muster.
Still, the set looked destined for McEnroe, using all his experience to take one of the match's more grueling rallies. The pressure on Muster's serve was relentless. Facing break and set point, he eventually caved in as McEnroe took the opener.
Game on first set, McEnroe, 6-2.
Into the second set, and the signs were ominous for Muster as McEnroe began with yet more brilliance.
McEnroe.
At 57, you could be forgiven for thinking McEnroe's movement might not be all it once was. The evidence in Stockholm was to the contrary, the American covering the court like he did in the 80s. The fourth game brought more frustration for Muster. In the face of such an onslaught, he then handed his opponent an added advantage, double faulting at break point. He now had a mountain to climb.
Game McEnroe. McEnroe leads 3-1.
You don't make it to world number one without knowing how to fight, though. And Muster refused to lie down, finding some joy of his own at the net. But there was really only one winner when it came to net play, McEnroe, with more quality on the attack. Clearly in his element in Stockholm, the winners kept on coming from the American. Before too long, he had match point.
Game, set of match, McEnroe. 2 sets to love, 6-2, 6-2.
A superb display from John McEnroe, a worthy winner, overcoming Thomas Muster in style.
Vinnare av Kingston Tennis 2016, mina damer och herrar, John McEnroe! Välkomna fram från USA, John McEnroe!
A performance McEnroe would have been proud of in his prime, clearly appreciated by his fellow legends. The 2016 Kings of Tennis champion already thinking of defending his crown next year.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. And I don't know. I didn't think I'd be back a few years ago, so you never know. Maybe one more time, maybe, hopefully. Thank you very much.
John McEnroe!
So after 2 events on the ATP Champions Tour this year, the rankings table looks like this. After victory in Stockholm, John McEnroe joins James Blake in top spot, while Mardy Fish is tied 3rd with Thomas Muster. But there's plenty more to come on the ATP Champions Tour this season. Next time on the ATP Champions Tour, the action keeps on coming. We'll be there every step of the way as the drama builds in 2016. Until then, don't forget to log on to atpchampionstour.com and talk with us on Facebook and Twitter. See you next time.